Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna, Dandas pronounced to all. So welcoming each one of you for the Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So today we have His Grace Suvinaya Nityananda Prabhu, who's here, who's going to share the nectar with us. So I take this opportunity to welcome him as well as thank him for taking time off and then giving his association. So Prabhuji, welcome and thank you. I request you to go ahead and then share the nectar. Hare Krishna Prabhu, over to you. Prabhu, we are not able to hear you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
You are able to hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay. Thanks for providing me the opportunity for sharing the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam for my own purification. Thank you very much. Let's start off with prayers. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashadakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Katamahyam Dadati Swapadankitam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Shakrachatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Shadvaitam Shavadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaganalita Shri Vishakanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dhinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanuste Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वती व्यासां ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतस्य सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुर्लङ्घायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरं ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Welcome all devotees. We will recite Jai Rama or Jai Radha Madhava, then carry on with the class. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodananda Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Ram Sankirtan Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today morning we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, Text 9, where Rishabhadeva is instructing his sons headed by Bharata. Yada Manorudaya Grantir Asya Karmanubaddo Druda Ashtle Theta Tada Jana Sampari Vartate Smad Mukta Param Yatya Ati Hetum. Synonyms. Yada, when. Mana, the mind. Hridaya Grantir, the knot in the heart. Asya, of this person. Karmanubadda, bound by results of his past deeds. Drida, very strong. Ashla Theta, becomes slackened. Tada, at that time. Jana, the conditioned soul. Samparivartate, turns away. Asmat, from his attachment for sex life. Mukta, liberated. Param, to the transcendental world. Yati, goes. Atihaya, giving up. Hetum, the original cause. Translation. When the strong knot in the heart of a person implicated in material life due to the results of past action is slackened, one turns away from his attachment to home, wife, and children. In this way, one gives a basic principle of illusion, I and mine, and becomes liberated. Thus, one goes to transcendental world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. When by associating with sadhus and engaging in devotional service, one is gradually freed from material conception due to knowledge, practice, and detachment. The knot of attachment in the heart is slackened. Thus, one can get freed from conditional life and become eligible to return back to God. wonderful instruction by Rishabhadev to his sons. Yada mano hridaya grantirasya karmanubaddo druda ashletate teta tada jana sampari vartate smat mukta param yatya atihe hetum. So there are 5 things what Rishabhadev is talking in this particular shloka. The first point Rishabhadev is making here is Yada mana hridaya grantir, means mind, the king of the senses, the heart, the place where soul resides, along with the Paramatma, of course, are tied. That means the knot in the heart and the mind, particularly in the heart of a person, is tied. By what it is tied? By the rope. Normally, tying happens through rope. Here, the rope is the karma. That is the results of his past states. And it is very strong. So, the heart and mind of a person are tied with the results of karma, not loosely but very tightly. The tightening symbolizes the condition. That the more tight it is, the more conditioned the soul is. So, for example, in the villages you might have been seen, they will tie the cow to a tree and they leave it for grazing. So same analogy we can take here. When that rope is very tightly tied, the movement of the cow is very restricted. It can only move maybe 1, 2, 3 feet, whatever it is. So it is also uncomfortable in that situation because it has to stay in that tight. It is restricted by the tightness. If the rope is loosely tightened, it's not that it can break that and run away, but it has some bit of freedom. At least that comfortness is somewhat there. So here also, if the harder the tightening, the more conditioned we are in this material life. The lesser the tightening, the less conditioned. That doesn't make us unconditional or liberated. We are still conditioned, but that degree varies. That is what here Rishabhadev is trying to explain. So the more we are tightened, the more we are conditioned. How do we understand this? The human life is mediumly tightened. We have freedom for a lot of things. If you see, for example, I'll take a very crude example. Here, in this age of Kali Yuga, where technological advancement is so high, we can move from one country to another country within hours. That much of freedom. We'll take transportation as one example. That much of freedom is there. So that much of tightening is there. So we can move from one place to another. But if you take an ant or a tree, for example, that freedom is not there, or it is tightened so much that freedom also is not there for the tree. It has to stay in one place, absorb the nutrients, water and minerals, water available in that particular soil. And if it rains, it's good. If it not rains, it can't go. It has to suffer. But human is not like that. Okay, if that rain, at least in this age, if rains do not happen, he can go and switch to another place or bring water from the place where it rains and bring it into this place. So that much freedom is. So take the topmost free entity in this whole material world, Lord Brahma. He has a lot of freedom. He can travel via Pushpaka Viman, he can travel via anything, and he can come to any planet, any place, anytime. So that much freedom he has got. So this particular conditioning here, tightening means conditioning. Conditioning is they restricted. The restriction is applied to the degree of the results of the activities of his in his past, in his or her past janmas. So Rishabhadev is trying to give an hint or directly saying, hey, there is karma, what we have done, and that is what is what we are suffering or enjoying now. The more pious activity we have done, there is that much enjoyment. The more impious activity you have done, that much more suffering. Nevertheless, both impious and pious activity bind us in this particular janma or in this material life. So, what is this binding? Is this a problem? Binding is a problem or not? Yes, it is certainly a problem. Why? Because it is unnatural for a conditioned entity to be bound. Sorry. That means a jiva is eternally free. But due to turning away from the Lord, he is being conditioned eternally. Jiva is eternal. So, but here it has become a Nitya Baddha. It is eternally conditioned due to his past deeds. So he's giving a hint here also. Okay, because there is past deeds, what we have committed, and that is where the reason of suffering. And that is where tightening occurs. So one you should think how tightening, okay, there is some medium tightening, assume. Will it remain medium throughout the jiva's existence? No. The answer is no. It remains if, that is what here in the previous shlokas also it is covered, the more you become I and mine, self-centered, selfish, the more the grip tightens, the more condition we get. The more we realize and come away from I and mine, self-centered to God-centered, selfish to God-centered, then we are loosening that grip. Slowly it will loose. And that is what here it is said. In this way, I and mine will start to, so I and mine, that is self-centered and selfish attitudes, control the how much tightness is there. How do you understand this, right? Again, I'll go back to examples of human being and a mango tree. Human being, mango tree, whatever it does, whatever the best it can do is it can extract, the roots can go deep into earth, get the relevant minerals and water and fertilizers and produce beautiful mango fruits, very sweet mango fruits. The best it can do is that, that's all. It can do nothing else. Agree, right? It can do nothing else. See the restriction there, the tightening, the conditioning is restricted to that mango tree to give very much fruits, sweet fruits. And it is also dependent on the environment where it is growing. It should rain, the soil should have great minerals, great fertilizers. So that one, nothing is under, very less is under its control. Whereas a human being, if you take, human being has very much more control. He can take the path. Hey, he can realize, he can study. He can realize, he can understand, he can gain knowledge. And that is what Prabhupada is telling in the Purport. Okay, you can be conditioned, you can be tightened, no matter, yes, but you have got a human body. And you're not like a mango tree or an animal or a beast, where you can't take up the process of unconditioning yourself, unentangling yourself. You can do that. How is it possible? Prabhupada is giving the same basic principles of ISKCON. A, B, C, D. Prabhupada is telling A, B, C, D. Association of sadhus or devotees, scriptures, the books. A, B, scriptures, the books. C is the chanting of the holy name, and D is deity service, deity prasadam, deity service. So these are the ways we can unentangle ourselves, uncondition ourselves, get it liberated. That is what Prabhupada is telling. So Rishadev in this sloka is telling, we are the knot has to be slackened, means loosened. The hard knot that is tied in, the tightening has to be loosened. That is slackened. Slackened means loosened. One turns away his attachment to home, wife, and children. So if it is loosened, what to do for it to loosen? It will not loosen. It will actually get tighter. One sensiblement, it becomes much tighter to 1 degree. Next sensiblement, it will become tighter to 2nd degree, 3rd degree. So it goes on to the nth degree. And attachment to home, wife, and children goes on. It goes on. So that's what Rishabhadev is saying. But how to loosen it? So Prabhupada is explaining, it can be associating with sadhus. First point is associating with sadhus. As is A, association of devotees. There are very much examples in Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Ramayana, other Upanishads and Puranas of how people engaged, associated with sadhus, did the devotional service and not loosened. One of the greatest examples of this is Narada Mahamuni. Narada Muni, in his previous life, was a singer. He's a great Gandharva singer. And due to some deed he performed, and he was cursed to born as a Dasi Putra. He was 4 or 5 years old. And his mother was serving in an ashram of one Rishi. To greatest benefit, advantage, the Bhakti Vedanti sages came to that ashram. And fortunately or unfortunately, that was a Chaturmas. The rainy season started. And the Bhakti Vedantis decided to spend their 4 months of rainy season in that ashram. And the greatest benefit what her mother got was to serve these Bhakti Vedantis. So since Narada Muni also was 4 years old and 5 years old, usually what a child will do at that age will follow the mother. And mother was cleaning, serving prasad, cleaning the prasad, food remaining items, was cleaning the room, was making them comfortable along with other servants. Narada Muni also got this sukruti, an opportunity to serve Bhakti Vedantis. And he went one step ahead. He started sitting and listening to their discussions and asking them if they want anything, how to serve. Got interested in the life of Bhakti Vedantis, the philosophy of Bhakti Vedantis, the discussions of Bhakti Vedantis. So the association grew. It was not that transactional association, but it was a heartful association. Transactional is, hey, you come, okay, you have eaten, I'll take the plates, clean the place. Okay, you want bed sheets, I'll give the bed sheets. You want the bed, I'll make the bed. You want the place to be clean, clean and go. That is transactional. But it was a heartful interaction, heartful relationship, heartful thing with the Bhakti Vedantis that Narada Muni developed. And Bhakti Vedantis also saw, hey, this boy is taking very much interest in transcendental subjects, in transcendental path, in transcendental Lord. So they observed for 4 months. And while going, they called this boy, Narada Muni, and blessed him. And blessed him. Okay, you can initiated him or blessed him. You can be progressive in this transcendental path. And they gave permission to eat the remnants of their prasadam. It became Maha Prasad. And the Narada Muni had continuously the Maha Prasad. It's not that they say, that's why, oh boy, take it. No, they observed and this interest. This boy, 5-year-old boy, was not interested like other boys in playing, in enjoying, but he was interested in transcendental subject and serving them. That's why they give us opportunity. So in this way, the cursed Narada Muni, the boy, the grip was slackened. It was untightened, unentangled. Then the Bhakti Vedantis blessed the boy and moved away and moved to their next journey. And Narada Muni got this blessing and this tightening was reduced. And anyway, his mother also died by snake bite. And he was alone and he went in search of the Lord. And he got a glimpse of the Lord. He got a glimpse of the Lord. And then he had to meditate, see this Lord again, and see what a position Narada Muni achieved. So this is one example of association of devotees, pure devotees of the Lord, or the Lord himself, will actually slacken the tighten knot of the heart and mind and make us move away from I and mine attachment to this material world and sense enjoyment. Another modern day example, what we can take is, we can take the hippies of US. So what is the history is, if you take the history of the world, America was, after Second World War, America grew very much powerful. It was the only country that was progressing economically. All other countries were actually, where poverty stricken, the economy had collapsed. And America gave loans to these countries, to Europe, to Asia, and made a lot of money. And an average American grew richer during this time. So the children, normally what they would do, the rich people children, have got everything in their life from starting on. And they got everything, so they don't want anything inside the house. So they moved away from house and started wandering and they getting themselves intoxicated, illicit sex. All the 4 regulative principles were violated. At this time, some hippies came in contact or got associated with Srila Prabhupada, who traveled to US during his 1969 period onwards. So these hippies who were searching for happiness, they were doing intoxication, illicit sex, looking for the higher happiness, got associated with this sadhu, Swamiji, as they addressed him as. And not all hippies, certainly certain few hippies got attracted and started associating, started listening, and started serving even Prabhupada. And you see, in a magic moment, in a magic of 3 months, 6 months, the transformation was excellent. So the knot which was getting tightened by their illicit activities, once for it loosened. And they got this higher taste of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, and they started to relish it. And they got the transformation within the heart. And now we see hippies are happies. And the entire hippie culture is gone. And you see, on there become spiritual gurus, great devotees. So that is one way of loosening the knot, the tightened knot around the heart is by association of the sadhus. And another way is Prabhupada is quoting here is knowledge, that is from the Shastras. So if one associates with the Shastras and make it complete reading of the Shastras, understanding the Shastras and leading a life according to a Shastra, mentioned in Shastras, then that will also transform. Of course, in association of spiritual master and devotees, you should read this, but important is the knowledge. If a person reads a simple book of Prabhupada, many times it has happened, a simple book of Prabhupada, it transforms into a great devotee. There is another example here. There was in UK, there was this book distribution party. So every day, this book distribution party used to go to relevant and local markets and used to distribute the books. And there was this one Burmese or Myanmar, one person from Myanmar. Actually, he did not know English only. And he came in touch with this book distribution party. And he told, I don't know English. And they had only English books. In UK, they were distributing in London. And they had only these English books. And this person didn't know English. But due to these people convincing in English, and he got a book. Somehow he got a book. He doesn't know English. He doesn't know what is Bhagavad Gita. He doesn't know what is Krishna conscious, but he got that book somehow. And one day, as a student, he was there in London, and his studies finished. He wanted to go back to Burma. And he was vacating his room, and he got this book in his room. And he was in dilemma whether he should keep that book or take that book. Somehow he took that book. He put in his bag, and the book went to Burma. And that book stayed in his house, and he never opened also like that book. That book is Bhagavad Gita as it is, by Srila Prabhupada. And then he got married. He got a child. He was a boy, male child. And he started learning English. And this child had difficulty in English because English naturally doesn't come. It's very tough for Burmese. And it was Burmese medium. So he looked in the house, and there was this one English book. All were Burmese book only. There was this English book. And he took that book and started practicing to learn English using this book. In this way, the first one started practicing for English, in normal English. It is not on an... And he read the whole Bhagavad Gita once, twice, thrice, 4 times. And then he really understood the concept of it. And now, is he initiating Guru, or is become one of the greatest devotees who is holding ISKCON in Southeast, in Eastern Asia. He's become one of the greatest. See the literature, the Shastra, how it transforms a person. So immediately this person's Agnat Sukriti Erod, it really, the heart, the tightening of the heart loosened by taking association of Shastra, the book written by Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita. You never know how, when, where it can hack. It can hack, it has that potency. So, association of devotees, combination of Shastra can act as a transformative weapon in loosening this knot, or even cutting away this knot. Prabhupada is telling this, by associating sadhus and engaging in devotional service, one is gradually freed from material. And due to knowledge. Knowledge is what? It comes due to reading of scriptures. Another important point is that service serviceful attitude. So the serviceful attitude is very much important. We should do the service. It is recommended that even the advanced devotees take up menial services and do, so that it really cleanses our heart and loosens this tightening of the knot. Loosens this knot so that we can get more humble and more Krishna consciousness. So we can keep a deity and serve it in the temple, in the home, whatever. So that insightful deity service or any other service in Krishna conscious, preaching or going out, collecting funding, organizing a festival, any service, doing kirtan, nagar kirtan, book distribution, any service, that also loosens the knot very much. That is called practice. So you've got the association, you've got the literature, and you're really putting yourself in practice of devotional service. It is not service, ordinary service. Ordinary service is a service that you get paid for, or you get your sense enjoyment. But devotional service is a service that cleanses you, that purifies you, that makes you humble and get attraction towards the Godhead. So the practice of what you have learned is very important. There is a phrase in English called hit the roads. The rubber has to hit the roads. Fine tire. If the tire manufacturer has manufactured a tire, new rubber with vulcanized rubber. But the real thing, the purpose of the tire is not to be in the showroom. It should actually hit the road. That is where it gets heated up. That's where it gets worn. That's where it gets torn. But still the tire has to go. So we have got association of spiritual matter. We have got the transcendental knowledge from the scriptures, the association of spiritual master. Now we have to put that into practice by doing the service to the Lord and his associates. By doing the service to the Lord and the associates, really that is the practice. That is a devotional practice. It can include self-sadhana also, like chanting, book reading, anything. But the practice is actually delivering the service, whatever service, however minute it is. Whether cleaning the temple premises, filling the water bottles for devotees, devotee care, or stitching the deities' dresses, doing the arti, doing the pujari services, distributing and cooking the prasadam, distributing transcendental literature, distributing the transcendental names by Harinam Sankirtan, conducting festivals and outreaches to attract people into spirituality, to Krishna consciousness. All many variety of services are there. I had this experience. I was going in a train. I regularly go to one place, and it is not far away from Bangalore. So when I boarded this train travels at 3 o'clock and reaches destination 9 o'clock. So there was this one Brahmachari Prabhuji from one temple, Bangalore. He used to carry these books. There's some 30, 40 books, small books of Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita. In the train, every time in the train, I saw him 2 or 3 times. I did not speak to him. He could not because he was there. Then one day I spoke to him. Prabhu, I see every time I travel in this train, I see you. How is this possible? He told, Prabhu, every day I travel in this train, distributing the books. That is my service. That is my service, devotional service. That is how I see. I was amazed. Every day, 3 p.m. in the afternoon to 9 p.m., he goes from Bangalore to that place and he distributes the book. And he comes back night in that train and again he travels. Like, see the commitment there. See the practice. He's putting the devotional service. He's putting what he has learned. He's distributing trains. And he says some days only one book or two books go, or sometimes no book. And sometimes it is great that all books I can sell. But that is a service. And that is what spiritual master has said. Just distribute the books. And in this way, his heart slackens. And that way, he gets out of the attachment or the illusion, I and mine. So in this way, Rishabhadev is telling, the heart of a person who is born in the material world is tightened. The amount of tightness depends on various other factors, the mode which he is in, the past karmas, the past deeds, whatever it is. But this has to be slackened and can be slackened by association of devotees, the reading the scriptures and putting them into practice. Once this is done, what is the end result? Taddama paramam mama. That means one gets eligibility to go into back to Godhead without having to coming back to this world. So let's all take this Rishabhadev instruction. Take the association of devotees, get the knowledge through reading of scriptures and putting it into practice by hitting the road, so that we also become eligible to go back to God. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank
you
you
for the very nice, crisp view on about this entire verse. It's so nice to hear that. So you very nicely covered how association is so important, especially association of sadhus and devotees, and then also touched upon the aspect of how knowledge or reading of books or associating with books also, along with the association of sadhus, which will then lead to serving them. And then serving them is by following their instructions, and then serving the deities or the other devotees, and so on and so forth. So wonderfully you covered the entire aspect of seva. And thereby then the prayojana of how the knot which is there in the heart gets loosened, which means that the transformation is happening at the heart level. So it's beyond the mind and the senses, and thereby all the anarthas start to disappear. So you also gave very wonderful examples actually of Srila Prabhupada in the US and how people followed him or they were associating with him, and then there is so much of transformation that happened. And another other example of this person from Burma who was not able to read English, that was also very nice. How the association with sadhu, and then from there it continues to the books. Also there is association. So very nicely brought out those points. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Devotees, if there are any questions, then please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Wonderful, Prabhu. Prabhu, it is the karma at the present life, it gets slackened by being better, by as ABCD you told. Isn't it, Prabhu? But the past karmas which are accumulated, will that also get slackened?
Everything, Mataji. Karma that is not yet fructified, karma that is in a seed stage, karma that is yet to fructify, that is fructified, prarabdha, aprarabdha, all the karmas, it starts vanishing. So that's the potency of association of sadhus, and that is the potency of association of scriptures, and that's the potency of practicing the devotional service. The Katru, right? The Katru is us who does the karma. Who does the karma. And the provider of the results is Krishna. Once you take his association or the association of his devotees and the Shastras, definitely any karma, it vanishes away. When be it is past deeds of prarabdha karma, or even the karma which is not yet, which is there, it is not yet acted, which is there in the heart, even that's also cleaned away. That is what this loosening of the heart is. The entire desire is washed up. So it is, to answer your question, Mataji, and all types of karma go away. Kutam,
Okay.
Prarabdha, everything will go.
Thank you, Prabhu. Then very nicely explained with the examples.
Thanks, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
No.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you for the excellent class. I think what really struck me was in terms of the wonderful analogies you gave, and you talked about the cow being tied, and it is going in terms of how much we get, how much tightened, as much of restriction would be there. And you very beautifully compared with how Naramuni in his previous birth was cursed and how that helped him. And similarly, you just compare it to how the hippies came and how even, they, by having the association of sadhu, how it changed totally. That was a wonderful analogy. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
And Prabhu, also how you spoke of the books as an extension of the association of sadhus. So that's a nice way to look at the books, because books are, of course, the instructions are there and everything. We're actually associating with the person through his books. So book is actually an extension of sadhu sangha. So that's a nice way to look at the whole thing. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Chanting, you didn't cover. Any example you can give that will help us for the preaching?
Yeah. Chanting, there are many examples. Haridas Thakur in Chaitanya Leela is an example for chanting. He used to never take prasadam until he completes all his rounds, 196 rounds, right? So that is one example. I'm not stressing that because that was not covered in this shloka. It was more of ABD, it was covered. Mataji. I can send you some examples of chanting. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, so if there aren't any more questions or any other comments, anybody else has any other comment, please go ahead. Okay, so once again, Prabhu, thank you so much. I think we can come to the end of the session. So we can conclude with Vaishnava Pranams. So we can do that.
Namo Namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you once again, devotees, for joining. So wishing you all a wonderful AC-filled day today. And we will all meet up again tomorrow. So I'll end the session for everyone. So thank you so much once again, Prabhu, Suvinaya, Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Namaskar.